Hey, sister.
Hey, how are
How are
you?
you? I'm well. I'm
How,
well.
how goes the family vacation?
Oh, it's got all the things you love about a family vacation. It's got food and it's got lots of walking. We're in, just for our listeners' sake, I know you know this, Carrie, but we're in New York City, staying in a friend's lovely apartment. And she's a literacy person too, so you can see all the books behind me. But yeah, the vacation is good. It's in addition to all the sightseeing and the walking and navigating. There are the dynamics of a family of four spending lots and lots of close time together and making 1,000 tiny decisions together. So
So you
that
get to both navigate the city
oh, look at you.
and
It's a metaphor, girl.
navigate the um navigate
Yes.
the the family
Relation.
dynamic. There's nothing
Yes.
quite like a family vacation to really give you a chance to reflect on your family dynamic, huh?
That's right. That's right. Think about what's working and what might need to change. So yes, it's funny. Oh, and speaking of family, somebody's up. Shh,
Here
we're
they come.
recording. We're recording.
You have the tiny little apartment and you have a mirror. So just warn everybody.
Oh, there's a mirror behind me,
Yeah.
Nate. Step away.
Good morning, Nady. So, one of the things we wanted to jump on and talk about today is just navigating what can sometimes feel like dicey conversations or dicey
Mhm.
dynamics, both in our personal and in our professional lives. And
Absolutely.
it feels like, from the moment, Jan, you invited me to, let's think about writing this book that turned out to be Shifting the Balance Together.
Mhm.
And people have heard me say this a lot, like I was a hard no, like, no, I'm not
Mhm.
going to do that because
Mhm.
I felt like it was placing ourselves sort of in this place of a constant dicey conversation
Right.
and this tricky place, because we know there's so much polarization at times in the field,
Mhm. Mhm.
and yet some people don't feel the polarization, but there certainly is polarization there.
Mhm.
And
And so as we were reading the science, and we were noticing in ourselves, kind of paying attention to what was triggering us and our inner narratives and the stories we were telling ourselves. It didn't take long to realize that we were going to have to figure out some ways to make it safe for ourselves to stay in the conversation, to stay in the work, not to run and hide and put our heads in the sand.
yeah, and if you saw, we did do a video about the 6
Mm-hmm.
commitments, and you can
Mm-hmm.
look for that, and that's kind of these foundational commitments we made to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
While we were doing a lot of study of the reading science, while we did a lot of study of the reading science, we've also since realized we've got to dig in and also kind of study, like, how do we best be part of supporting healthy individual and organizational change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. How do we stay human in all of this?
yeah, and we've
I'm recording. Yes.
Good
Yes.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. All right.
good morning,
So
Victor.
Morning, Carrie.
Your face. So we actually were just gonna, Jen didn't bring her book collection with on her trip to New York, but
no.
we've been reading things like Chip and Dan Heath's Switch, or
Mhm.
one of my very favorites
Mhm.
always, Brene Brown,
Anything by Brene Brown.
Dare to Lead. Brene is
Mhm.
always helping us think about the courage that we have with
Vulnerability. Yes.
vulnerability and courage and how to harness that. And then the favorite that we've had these last few months is this
Mhm.
beauty.
By
Adam
Adam Grant. Think
Think,
again.
yeah. the power of knowing what you don't know. And I think
I love that.
so much of what the work is about is saying, wow, I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
as educators, sometimes I don't know, we just need to continually build our muscle for the comfort of saying, I didn't know,
Yes.
but now I know, and I can harness that.
Yes. And then as soon as I think I've gotten through the not knowing and now I know again, there's something else that's going to show me, oh, wait, I still don't know. I still don't know everything.
Yeah.
And so it's relentless. It's a relentless willingness to be in that vulnerable place.
Yeah, I was thinking yesterday, since Shifting the Balance has come out, we've been so blessed by so many people
Mhm.
who have reached out to us with really positive feedback, and then also with some feedback that is sort of helping us understand some of the nuances, I think, that
Mhm.
we didn't originally understand
Mhm.
as deeply or in as it's just every day we're getting the chance to really practice being learners.
Mhm.
And when we had a chance to do a series in a Facebook group about bridge building,
Mhm.
just kind of why we committed to this work in the first place, right? We wanted to build some
Mhm.
bridges between some pedagogies.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so do you want to say something about what this tool is, Jan?
Well, that's on our downloadable page, the sixshifts.com/downloads. And then I think you have to put another backslash on there, but I think actually you're okay if you don't have that last backslash, but
And if you just go to the sixshifts.com, you
right.
go to the downloads page.
Downloads page. And this is a free download there. And we're just going to walk through these for you real quick. Whether you're on a family vacation and you want these to help you keep some harmony in your family, or you're navigating the 6 shifts from the book.
And honestly, I'll tell you, I'm not on a family vacation, but I find even when we go out for dinner these days, there are a lot of polarizing topics that we're
Mhm.
navigating in our country right now, whether it is, from climate change to vaccinations to,
Mhm.
some
Mhm.
really, more obviously politically charged topics. And so the walls and bridges, which are sort of some polar opposites in terms of how to deal with those, I think I found them really helpful personally as well.
So we're just going to walk through these. There are 5 of them, 5 walls and 5 bridges, and the walls are what we're trying to avoid. And the first wall is certainty. And this shows up when we're dogmatic about something, when we feel like we're an authority on something, when our
Absolutely.
minds are already made up.
Yeah. And the opposite of that is curiosity. And
Mhm.
that's how we build the bridge is, when people in our lives show up, or we show up ourselves with absolute certainty, whenever we can make room for curiosity, there's that chance to build a bridge.
Mhm. And these two can't coexist. So these walls and these bridges, they don't coexist. So it's kind of a one or the other. If you're certain, then there's not much space for curiosity. And if you're curious, there's not a lot of space for certainty. So the second one is binary thinking. And this shows up as being, being things are absolutely right or they're absolutely wrong. It's
Gotta be
all or none.
Yeah.
Yeah, extremes and polarities and nothing in the middle.
Yeah. And the bridge building opportunity there is called complexity or complexifying. And that's
Mhm.
being willing to say, you know what, these polarizing issues, they're not as simple as we think.
Mhm.
And when we recognize there's a lot of shades of gray, things are not completely black and white, then we actually make room to come together.
Yes, yes. And Adam Grant talks a lot about complexifying. That's a word we actually borrowed from his book. And so it's fascinating, the science behind complexifying things. So the third one is judgment. and being judgmental. And this, it shows up as shaming, blame, guilt, superiority. Brene Brown's thinking informed us in this work. And so,
because the opportunity is that rather than showing up as judgmental, that we show up with vulnerability, and
mhm,
that we just make space for ourselves to be vulnerable. And
mhm,
that can really be a powerful bridge builder, making room in a
mhm.
conversation for some coming together.
It feels like honesty fits under that vulnerability heading. What do you think, Carrie? Kind of some
Yeah, for sure.
reflectiveness.
And I think, all of our work with shifting the balance, it's like a daily exercise in vulnerability, because,
Mhm,
a lot of what we've been doing these last months is kind of saying to the world, there are some things we ourselves have to we've really had to rethink about our practices, and it's,
mhm,
it's not that fun. But what we keep hearing from people day after day is that they appreciate the vulnerability, because we all, I think vulnerability is being honest, even though there is a risk of being judged or,
mhm.
yeah, so.
And then the fourth one is dismissiveness. And this is an easy one to fall into, I think, especially when you've already, where you say someone else's concern is not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's, you make generalizations, you make stereotypes, you don't really hear when people have concerns.
And the
You
way
just
to build the
accept it.
bridge is through listening.
Mm-hmm,
And there's this kind of quote, and I won't get this quite right, and I won't be able to attribute it either, but it's the idea that until people feel heard, and I know it has
mm-hmm,
its roots in that Adam Grant book as well, but until people feel heard, they aren't going to be open to change. And
mm-hmm,
so if our work is to try to bring others along with us in some areas, we've got to start not by showing up as experts, but instead as showing up willing to listen
mm-hmm.
and really truly come to understand and recognize their perspective.
And then the final one is overwhelm, which boy, I struggle with this one, which Carrie helps me with a lot. Just feeling like this decision fatigue, procrastination, inadequacy, fear. And it just really is like when you look at a task or a goal, which feels really large, figuring out, rather than putting our heads in the sand or just abandoning the effort. What's the counterpoint, sister?
Yeah, and the counterpoint is entry points. And we tried to keep things really, like, our Shifting the Balance is meant to be an entry point book, and yet still we offer several suggestions in each of
Mhm,
6 chapters. So
mhm,
you still could read that book and feel like, I got a lot of ideas out of this about what to shift, but I'm not sure where to begin. And the
mhm,
idea of entry points is start somewhere. Like,
mhm,
get the wheels in motion, just make a decision. When you're overwhelmed by too many possibilities, chances are there's lots of good options. Just choose one and start. And we're believers in that. And that's one of the things we really want to help. We really want to help teachers with, is just finding some entry points that feel comfortable to get the wheels in motion. Once the wheels are in motion, you can always do more.
mhm.
So that's a bit of a look at the Walls and Bridges download is there for you. And this is, I think, work we're trying to weave into the other work that we do, because we know.
And yes,
Yeah.
and weave into our family vacations, which
Weave into our family vacations.
and I should probably go for that reason. I've got to take my Bridges and Walls handout with me to whatever sightseeing we're doing today so that I
I
can practice.
I think it folds up really nice. Like, you could stick it in your wallet. You could
Fit in my fanny pack.
maybe you choose today which of them you really want to focus on, Jan, and then you could write that on your hand as well.
I could. I got 5 fingers. I could put 5
Fingers.
balls on one hand and 5 bridges on the other hand.
Oh, and then you could just,
I could
yeah,
do this and make a bridge.
you've
Oh,
got
there
all
you go.
sorts of options. All right. Have a
do,
great
you
day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.